All right. Welcome to the AI Revolution Show. I'm your host, Alex Theuma, co-founder at Shift AI. Delighted to be joined today by Semir Jahic, who is co-founder also at Salesmotion. Semir, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Alex. Great to be on the show here.
Yeah, good to have you on the podcast. This was, I guess, like setting the scene here. And how this came about, because this is like I think a special, almost first edition of this type of podcast that we're going to do today for the AI Revolution show. But based on the success and maybe the feedback, we'll look to do kind of more of this style. So audience, if you like this, do let me know. No pressure, Samir, right? But I did a post on LinkedIn, a couple of weeks back. I'm a newbie in some ways to building with AI. I'm trying to build Shift AI as a AI first business, trying to automate, trying to learn Claude code. I'm spending a lot of time, building small things and getting there. So I did a post with it was my first Claude code project. I'm pretty sure that you commented on that post, and you mentioned that I'd love to show you some of the things that I'm doing. I took you up on that offer. We had a call, and during that call, and you were screen sharing and going through everything, I was like, wow, I wish I was recording this, so this would be a great podcast. So I let you speak for 20, 25 minutes and show me all these amazing things, in my opinion, that you were doing. And then I said, let's do it again, a bit more of your time. And here we are. So we're going to do it again. And so appreciate you doing that for us.
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, absolutely understand that so much is changing here, and whatever I can do to share what we're doing and learn from others, it's always fun.
That's great. And obviously, Shift AI is a 5-person company already. We're 1 month old, 5-person company. My objective, is to never hire another human, right? And really make this an AI first events business. We'll see how that goes. I hope I stick to that. But enough about me and Shift. Let's talk a little bit. Well, let's learn a little bit about what is Salesmotion. What's one sentence that explains Salesmotion? Also, how 2 people can run it.
Yeah, sure. So Salesmotion is a bootstrapped company. We've been around for about 2.5 years now. My CTO and I, just 2 people working on it, remote first. He's in Spain, I'm in Switzerland. We have our families, and we kind of balance it the way we like. So we're really masters of our own destiny, kind of the big advantage of being bootstrapped. And we're in the sales intelligence space. So we track accounts, we look for signals, we give reps the best signals and help them draft outreach, help them reach out to customers, build more pipeline. That's kind of what we do. So in that overall sales technology space. And that's where I came from earlier. I was at Salesforce, I was at Clary, and I learned that the VC journey is one path, but I thought, I want to do this a bit differently. And we've built Salesmotion very in a lean way and with efficiency in mind from day one, even pre-AI. I mean, this was like kind of just when ChatGPT came out, and have kind of carried that thought throughout. And in the last 6 months, especially with this kind of Claude Opus coming out and Codex, it's been a real game changer in how more effectively and more productively we can run with just 2 people still. Because I was at the point of, should we hire somebody? Should I get an agency to help me on the marketing side? Should we do this and that? And those thoughts are gone now. I can do so many things myself now. And I'm happy to show you a couple of things today. It's really exciting, and I think that's how we can really punch well above our weight in the sales tech space, where you have, of course, all the big players that in there. And it's pretty exciting, I think, and I think it's only going to get more exciting for companies that are small, lean, and want to do great things.
What do you believe about building a company in 2026 that maybe most founders haven't really thought about yet?
Yeah, I mean, 2026, for probably every founder has excitement and anxiety emotions at the same exact moment in time, because AI is getting more powerful. So as a company, we are reinventing ourselves, I think, every 6-12 months. At the same time, we're reinventing our business, how we operate internally as well, every 6 or 12 months. And I think every founder just has to be really leaning into it. I think really lean into AI. Like, can this be done with AI? What is the limit of this? And it should always be like a muscle memory to think about, oh, we want to do something in the company. Can this be done in AI somehow, accelerated or powered or just fully done even? And then just start doing it. And I sometimes say, you can really execute at the speed of thinking or ship at the speed of thinking these days with these powerful tools. Again, it starts in marketing, it goes into product stuff, it goes into analysis and reports. We can dive into a few things in a minute. I would just really encourage people, can this be done with AI? It's much farther along than many might think. And that's my key thought. And then you'll see how lean you can stay while still building great things.
Let's dive into it then. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, on the product side, we use AI. My CTO, he's like the biggest fan of building the product, which is fantastic. But I'll actually go a bit more into my side of things, kind of business, sales, and marketing, all that kind of stuff. So, what AI really has helped me do since February was like kind of our website. It was kind of this thing we had, like, just like a landing page. People can book a meeting. It was like built on HubSpot CMS, really clunky. And I've worked with all these CMSs in the past, and at some point I just said, look, this can be done better. I saw other founders do something similar, and we revamped and rebuilt our website completely from the ground up, all with code that I'm just controlling through a terminal now. And that was February. I kind of came around my birthday, so it was like a nice birthday present when Opus came out. And we've rebuilt it. So the tech stack for that is, for those who are geeky, like 10-second tech stack is like, we do it in Cursor, just do the CLI. It pushes into GitHub, into a repo. And again, I've learned all these things as we've gone through this process. So it goes into this repo on GitHub, and then there's this other tool called Vercel, and it just picks up the thing from GitHub and puts it on the website. And then I said, great, so I can just prompt the thing, put it onto GitHub, and then Vercel will pick it up. It's on the website. Well, that's great. And I can just prompt the website. There's no need to draw and pull boxes and log in and all this stuff you have. And we started really accelerating that. And I think what's always interesting is for people to see, like, okay, before I listen to this person, before I give any trust, let me just show you kind of on the metrics what we've done, and then I can dive a bit deeper. So I'm just going to share the screen for a second. So this is our plausible analytics tool where we kind of see just the traffic on the website, and you can see here is like the 12-month comparison. You can see it's really gone ballistic since February. And of course, a lot of it is maybe with vanity metrics as well, but a lot of it also isn't. And especially the alternative would have been to not have any of that. And so we get a lot more visitors on the website, thousands now. Bounce rates obviously go a bit up because you get people just on the blog to learn some stuff maybe. And even on the Google searches, as I kind of pull this up, I did a LinkedIn post on this the other day. We get lots of impressions. A lot of people get on there. We've really seen an uptick in demos booked, in signups. And again, now the thing is, let's work on those conversion rates. Let's optimize that. But the thing is, this all is really kind of this sort of February timeframe.
Yeah.
Kind of since Opus came out. So that's the result. So what we've done is really everything that you see on salesmotion.io today is done with ideas that we had in mind, be it from specific product breakdown pages, be it specific industry pages, be it kind of our product lines that we have or our API. So I did not have to go and create any of these pages manually myself. I just prompt the AI. The way that you kind of get a bit around that AI slop objection sometimes, because yes, if you just say, hey, create me 50 blog posts on sales, it'll be a bit AI sloppish. So of course you have to do some nicer prompting and enrich that. But what we also do is, and this is where AI gets more powerful, is I tell it to go into my CRM. I tell it to go into my Gmail. I tell it to go into my Granola, which is the call recording tool that records and transcribes every meeting. It's an AI first company as well. It's fantastic. I love using it. And I say, go into my meetings, listen to our life science customers, see what they're saying, what objections they have, what value they see in the solution, and then write an anonymized blog post on how sales signals matter for life sciences sales teams. And then it becomes much better than just AI slop. It becomes something that's enriched with your own data and experience. And I think that's what really makes things work here. And again, so far it's working, I think. So far we're pretty happy. And that's kind of how we create some of these blog posts here that we have. Again, I haven't touched this. You can see there's actually a biotech example even here at the top. And I manage this just to the CLI. I didn't have to go in and kind of manage how the pictures have to look and how they go. I told the AI this is like a great example for if you're like in the weeds of managing a website. We have a set of approved quotes. You can see here George, or if I probably scroll down, I think there probably should be another one somewhere. Yeah, Andrew. And we have a set of approved quotes in this GitHub repo. There's like a folder that says, hey, here's 50 quotes from customers that are approved. And we had this blog, and I said, well, we should really have quotes inside the blog post. It's just kind of credibility.
Yeah.
In the olden days, you would have each, like an intern, go onto the post, insert on the post, insert, and do this kind of manually. Here it was one prompt, and it said, I ran through all the 10, 50, 100 blog posts. I've inserted that, and I've saved this as a template. So when we create a new blog post, we will have this in there as well. And that's how the blog posts are now generated, fully automatically.
Yeah, so maybe you've answered that question. So let's say since February, how many blog posts has AI generated? And you said there it's fully automatically. So is it once or twice a week the AI is just kind of running automatically, creating a new blog post? You don't have to ask it to create a post. And then are you checking them? Or are you just trusting that because it's connected into all these resources and you've seen the first 10, that they're all good enough that you don't need to read it?
It's more like that, and I don't need to read it as much. There's a couple of things that are running. So another tool that I use is called Outrank. Again, maybe there's like show notes and stuff we can link to. It's another bootstrapper. So that creates automatic blog posts based on industry news and keywords and things like that. The other thing that I do is more intervals of I create a content plan in Claude. I say go through the last 4 weeks of meetings, emails, and look at some of the competitors, what they're doing maybe, and create a content plan for me. And then I kind of review that plan, and then it creates that. And then it injects the images, it injects the internal links, it creates images like this with AI, of course. It adds quotes and all the other stuff, this sort of a table of contents as well. That's all done automatically. Honestly, I don't read it as much. I maybe skim through it more on the formatting side. But no, I don't really spend too much time on this. It's like one of those things where I just don't spend too much time reviewing all of it in detail anymore.
Yeah, no, fair. And as a two-person company, you probably don't have time necessarily to do that. Like, have you ever had anybody sort of like reach out to you and say, "Oh, like this is written by AI," like at all? Any feedback or complaints?
I've had people actually reach out for the opposite. They said that this was a very useful post. I had something where there was like a sales methodology and there was like a template we've created in a PDF. And I told Claude to create the PDF template for it that people can download it. And they reached out and they said, thank you so much for creating this PDF downloadable template. I lost mine from my old company and now I have this kind of old school salespeople. And they found this useful. Yeah, so that was actually very good. So I had a couple of times people actually say this is relevant, because in the end, what happens in reality, you want to learn something new, you'll type into ChatGPT, what is MedPick sales, or what is this, and you'll see kind of what it is, and you'll learn from that output. So even the box standard AI output is sort of where we get our information from these days. And this is only going to be better because it's richer with more insight and context around.
Yeah, and we saw you showed on Plausible the big spike in traffic from February. So you got the big spike in traffic. What has this translated into, let's say, from how many more Booker demos have you had, and how many more customers or revenue have you had? Maybe just from this sort of instance. So you able to quantify that or showcase some of that?
I think our demo books have gone up quite a bit since then. I think we had like inbound through like Google a little bit, mostly through LinkedIn, because I post on LinkedIn a lot, so people kind of come through LinkedIn. Yeah. But we've really been able to have that sort of self-service motion more activated now, where we get a handful at least every week that sign up on the self-service plan that we have on the website, and what we see kind of where they come from, through tracking it, but also through just asking people when they sign up, is that it is through ChatGPT, that it is through Claude that picks it up, that it is through the website that kind of comes through, which we did not have in the past. In the past, we didn't have it. Like if I could probably ask Granola how many have said to us that they've come through a LLM search engine and found us that way, because we get more traffic on the website, and the number would be probably a lot higher, but since we've had that, because before we just didn't have anything, really kind of like really basic web traffic before that.
And why use? I mean, I was just curious, but why use Plausible, not Google Analytics?
I mean, Google Analytics is very complicated. Plausible is like an open source, like semi-open source thing, and you can pay for it like $100 a year. But what you also can do, because I'm a super scrappy, cheap bootstrapper, as some maybe know who know me, you can also self-host this on a Hetzner server. It's like very technical stuff. I had no idea, but it's like, okay, you can sell it. This is free, and the server costs like $2 a month on Hetzner and not $10. So I was like, can Claude do this for me? And I was like, hey Claude, I wanted it plausible on my own hosting. Can you help me do this? And within like 2 hours, I had it, and it kind of save $100 a year, which is not the world, but it's something for me at least that kind of is worth it. So yes, we're using plausible. It's also kind of simple. Google Analytics is quite complicated.
Okay, very cool. What next?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. So that's the website. Let's start with the website. So then I think as a founder, you're always like, oh, okay, we need more traffic, top of funnel, we need to build the product. But there's always these other things as founders, like what's important but not urgent. And this was like, I remember very clearly, like around Easter, it was like, I think, a Thursday, and I thought, tomorrow, what should I do? Oh, the knowledge base is like one of those long time to-dos. And, it's like, customers have a knowledge base. Well, I just answer them on email quickly. It's one of those things. And then one day I was like, maybe Claude can just create that for me. And so what we've done, and it's also on our website here, is create this knowledge base. And I just literally told it, I want to create a help center. I don't want to pay for, Intercom or whatever other tool and manage that and have to go in and create knowledge base articles. I thought, well, just go through all my emails, go through all the calls, look at questions people have, look at tickets I've resolved manually when somebody asks, hey, how do I reset my password? How do I add a new account in Salesmotion? How do I track a new signal? And just create knowledge base articles and create a help center type thing and put it on the website. And it did all of that. So I have not written any of these articles, and it will have everything in here, including like nice tables. It breaks it and has access to the code as well of our actual tool. So you can also go and see how does the tool actually work and pull it in. I've not done any of this manually. This is all fully done in the tool. And maybe it's 90% correct. Maybe there's some false assumptions in here. But honestly, so far, whenever I pointed people into the direction, like here's our API reference, here's how to do this, nobody's complained that, hey, I didn't work, your knowledge article is wrong. Again, maybe there is wrong stuff, but it's one of those things, I just wouldn't have done it. I just would have responded to that email. It gives me as a founder time back to focus on what matters, which is driving pipeline, driving deals forward. And we all have these tasks in our minds where we think, it would just be nice to have that. Or we should be a bit more pro now because we're been around for a bit and we have a few customers. That's one of those things that you can easily do with Claude Code or Codex or whichever AI coding tool you prefer. Absolutely, it's so easy to do, and it's really powerful as well. What's possible these days?
Did it also use your co-founders' emails, co-founders Granola, or is it like a team Granola account so it can check both like recordings, or is it just yours personally?
It's currently mine because I mainly talk to the customers. We don't have like a team license, but when him and I talk together, we record those calls as well in Granola, because that's where we discuss customer ideas and feedback and how it flows into product. So rather than him then go into Claude or Codex, he's more on Codex these days, and prompt, hey, Semir was saying this customer said that, how would we implement this? And he just kind of takes a transcript and says, hey, we talked about X, come up with a plan how we could test this and then prototype it so we can show the customer how it would look. And that's again stuff that we just were doing manually before. I cannot go and type it again. It's just so much faster these days and so much easier. Another thing, I think what's kind of interesting, I was literally just talking with another founder, a bootstrap founder, about this earlier. He bought a solution for abandoned cart, like $30 a month. Abandoned cart, classic thing. It's like also what happens here in Salesmotion, right? When you kind of sign up now, the solution, there's like obviously I'm logged in. Let me just log out. Let's say if you sign up for the solution here and you go away and you say, I'm Tom, and Tom, and then you kind of type in your things in email. And then let's say here, then you kind of, you forget about the thing, you kind of abandon the cart. Now, what happens for us now is I get a Slack notification instantly when that happens. But that's something I've built in Claude. I say, hey, look, we have our app. Somebody fills this out. Can you analyze this? I would love a Slack notification just when that happens. And it built it for me, and I get this. And again, that's really powerful. I'll try to kind of see if I can pull it up. This should have happened right now here, yeah. Let me just zoom in a little bit so we don't see the previous customers here, but confidential maybe. This looks decent. Basically, this is not on my Slack. So you can see here, sign up started, blah, blah, ASDF, this kind of me. And if I then keep going and I say, where do I work? I work at, one of my favorite sales companies, Zoom Info, our friends, Zoom that. And we go back, it's writing in the next message. Boom.
Yeah, nice.
But I've built this with a few prompts. And
Yep.
again, my bootstrap friend, he's paying 20, $30 for another tool for it, which is great.
Yep.
And it's a great tool. It can do a million more things, but he said that was his core use case. And now I can work more lean and I have full control over how this works.
Yeah.
And that's
And
I think really powerful.
Do you have an automation to follow up with all abandoned carts, or are you doing that
Yes,
manually? Yeah.
exactly. So, and I built that as well. I said, great,
Yeah.
I got this now. Now let me build those emails where people have maybe not complete their cart. Let me just see. Maybe I have one here. Yeah, let's say here, for instance. I mean, you just see the first name, so I guess this will be fine. Like this email goes out. It's like, this is a person called Jacob. Just kind of gets this, and he gets like a two-step nudge for him, which is great, right? And I think, again, fully automatically built with AI, not paying $20-30 for a tool. I can tweak it in any way I like. I don't have to learn a new tool and read their documentation, watch their YouTube videos on how to use it. And again, super powerful.
Do you know, like, what are the results from building this particular automation? Have you kind of tracked any sort of uplift in, like, from abandoned carts? Like, this is how the conversion, previously versus kind of like now? Like, is there an improvement?
I can't say yet because I've built this probably a few weeks ago.
Okay.
I think 2 weeks ago, I think that was. I had like one or two people say, yeah, sorry, I got distracted. Like, that's okay, but it's anecdotal. I would say it's not like really data yet. But I think it's working. I think it's doing its job, right? And again, if people, don't sign up, that's fine as well. But at least I'm giving it a chance. And, they get added to our newsletter automatically. So they get that and all that stuff just fully automatically happens in the background.
Okay. Very cool. Any other automations to show?
Yeah, I mean, so I was like, okay, should I draw a little PowerPoint for you kind of to see what's there? And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ask Claude to build me a page. And it built this like literally 5 minutes before our call. Yeah. So again, I haven't even read all of this yet, but I think it kind of checks out mostly. And this is kind of how it works. This is kind of the screenshot worthy part, I guess, of what we have here. So essentially, what we've done is we've done a lot of stuff in our Salesmotion operations repo, if you want, where we kind of talk about, hey, Slack notifications that go out for all sorts of things. Like, hey, there's the kind of website visitors, abandoned carts. We've built out an automation. I think you see it here as well, kind of to connect to our HubSpot or Salesforce. Meeting brief stuff happens. Kind of all this sort of things kind of run fully automatically. It's me prompting a few times and it runs. Not another tool. It's super cost effective, running on Vercel on our sort of team plan that we have there. And that's really powerful. And I get like a weekly traffic analysis of our website as well. And then we can see what blog posts are performing, what's not performing. We try to double down what's performing, what's not. That just runs in the background while I can do my key things are hard to automate, talk with customers, figure out our strategy, if we want to double down on industry or not, and what we want to do. And everything else, we just automate. Whenever I see something now that I think, why am I doing this again? It's kind of not really what I want to do. I think about, can I do this in Claude somehow?
Yeah. Is the decision-making process like anything that you have to do twice? The question is, can I automate it?
Yeah, I mean, the question definitely comes up the second time around. If I then get to automate it, because, sometimes I'm like, let's just do it. I mean, I'm still in that thing, like, okay, maybe it'll change in a week's time. Maybe it won't come up as often. So I try to automate as much possible, but even there's so much potential. And sometimes you do have to still think the buy versus build. I mean, I'm sure you could rebuild the granola, you could rebuild something else. But then you don't want the hassle with it, right? Yeah. And I think some of the tools are really great and cost effective. Yeah. So it's not even worth me trying to get all the edge cases to work. But again, notifications, automated CRM updates. I mean, for instance, we're locking orgs in the of customers that are not paying on time automatically. I get a Slack notification, they get an email. All these automations we just build quickly ourselves. Yeah. And the beautiful thing is we can now really iterate fast on the product as well, because we talk a lot about the business side and the marketing and the sales side of everything we're doing. But also all of this feedback I can easily feed into product prototypes. So I just create myself, and it's called like a branch of the main app in GitHub. So we have like the main Salesmotion app, and we're like, hey, here's Semir's playground. And then I say, hey, look, how would it look if we started to do email writing, but also for LinkedIn in Salesmotion. And then the AI goes and builds it. And I say, hey, Jose, who's my CTO, I say, hey, Jose, look, here's what I think this could be based on the feedback. And he says, this is great. It's like you already have what you want visually, and it kind of the clicks kind of more or less work. Now let me just make it work really well in production and reliably, rather than back in the day, which is 6 months ago, he was like, oh, what does Semir want? He explained to me in words, and he's not a sales background guy, right?
Yeah.
And then he builds something and he does it well, but it's kind of, and then I look at it as like, I meant it a different way. And I'm sure that happens with all sorts of founders when they talk to each other, because you have something in your mind and sometimes you don't even know what you wanted to kind of see it and it feels right. And now we can just iterate so much faster on this. Yeah. It's really powerful that I can almost prototype in production on the real app, even like with some real data, and then hand it over to him. And then he just really kind of focuses on the nuts and bolts of it to make it work.
Awesome. So you're shipping a lot more these days. Yeah. From idea to product, the time has gone like almost instant to
exactly
creation, right?
Exactly like what I said. You can really ship at the speed of thinking almost. I mean, it's really, if an idea is in your head, there's almost no reason for it not to be in production very quickly, especially in our space. I mean, it's sort of sales technology, it's insights. It's not that we're doing, there's of course caveats around this, like in fintech and doing payments for customers. You have to have some more, guardrails around that, the experimentation, and I think it doesn't apply to everybody equally. But I encourage everybody to think about these adjacent things. Again, marketing, help centers, the knowledge base articles, basic notifications, visualizations like this one. I mean, this is pretty cool. I've never done this before. I just said, create a one pager for this podcast to kind of show what we're doing. Yeah. I created this, and I think it's pretty decent. Yeah. And we're just kind of working through this now, and we have ideas, and I think we've done. I mean, a lot of it was website the first few months of February, March, April, and now sort of May, June, I've started to do many of these other things here as well. And I can tell you, it's really made my life easier because I focus more on what really matters, right? It's kind of drive revenue forwards and ship more and better product.
Well, like maybe on that point in terms of your time spent on driving revenue forwards, like. How much of that do you see, whether sort of like now in the future, where you can perhaps have agents doing, calling customers, doing demos of the product? Like, what is your vision or current thoughts around that? Because a lot of this tooling all exists. I haven't seen so much of it, in practice, and specifically maybe with the group of SaaS founders that I speak to on a regular basis. I think there's a lot of skepticism that they have around like AI GTM and like who wants to receive a call from an agent or like who wants to do a demo with an agent. Like, but seeing as you're an AI believer, like how far does your belief go?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say still. I mean, so much is changing all the time, and I think it's always important to kind of remember to not fall into the kind of the, what's it called, like the echo chamber of LinkedIn and your founder friends are all at the bleeding edge. Because even with very basic things like a little bit of a customized email, a little bit of research as you walk into a meeting, some basic automations, I think is absolutely fine. And I think it's almost expected, because if you get the generic email like, hey, you haven't done the research, so easy with AI these days, like what's going on? Or you walk into a meeting and you haven't done the research with AI, or you haven't created like a customized slide deck, let's say, at least with some things. And it's like a prompt or two away. And I think it's for some buyers, it's like expected today that you can understand them deeply, you've done the research, that you present something that's already tailored to their use case. And back in the day would have been, let's do first the discovery, and then in 2 weeks' time, we'll show you something custom for you, because that was just the time it took. And I think these days the expectation is much higher for that. But I do think as well, I think on one hand, it's so much easier. You get a lot of these AI spam cannons these days. Email is saturated, LinkedIn is saturated. So we also see kind of something that kind of goes back to the more personal touch as well, especially if you're selling bigger deals. Again, we sell a lot to enterprise customers as well, or up market at least. So that kind of also means to us that a personal connection matters, because it's very easy to stand up a good website as an AI startup these days, even though if you have nothing to show for it. And I think we try to stand out, of course, with case studies, because these you cannot fake that easily. And also just meeting people in person, they know who they're dealing with. that they know who they're dealing with, that we're trustworthy. We really try to make it work. Of course, we're a startup. Things are not perfect, and I also always say this transparently, but I think we do pretty, good job at serving our customers in terms of sales intel and helping them kind of run their teams more effectively. And so I think there's a big thing around, in person as well, that will get actually more valuable as it gets easier with AI to saturate all the other stuff.
How far and like how long do you think you continue to operate like this? Is there going to be? Do you envision like a breaking point at some point where we need to hire like more humans? Is it just internally that we're going to automate everything, we're never going to hire another human, we're going to be a 2-person company, we're going to get to 10, 20, 30 million in revenue? Like what are your thoughts?
I think a little bit like you as well, like you want to try to see how far you can go. Like you have the five people now, you said, okay, let's just see how far this can go. And I'm sure there's a breaking point. And I think it would have been there 6 months ago when we said, then Claude Opus came out, and then it's like, oh, actually we don't need, I would have started with agencies for kind of different tasks, and we were able to do it without. And that would have been 20, 30, 40K spent that we would have had to invest, and that was just a few $100s on AI subscriptions. And I think we'll try to push it as hard as we can. I think as more as possible to automate that's not core around driving revenue or shipping core product. Let's just automate all that fluff around it first. And I think there's still potential there, accounting and other things that we still have to do in the company. I think there's stuff we haven't touched yet. And once that is running autonomously, then the core activity, then we can think, okay, are we really at the bottleneck? Do we need somebody to support us in sales, maybe customer success as well, or on the engineering side as well? I would say not never, but I'm really keen to just push it as far as possible.
Awesome. And like, what is your what do you think your moat is? What will if anything, like stop somebody, trying to do this and build Salesmotion, over a weekend?
Yeah, I think it's that question that every founder is that's the anxiety part. I think of that excitement and anxiety. We talked about 30 minutes now about the excitement piece. That's the anxiety part, and I don't know. I really don't know. Of course you can build. There's hard stuff in the things that we've built, right? Gathering data, structuring data in a clean way, and we've built it really with efficiency in mind as well internally. And I think, first of all, just focus on making your customers happy. The markets are big enough. If you're bootstrapped, you don't need to be the billion-dollar company that wins every single customer. You just need to have, 100K, a million, 10 million revenue, whatever your goal is, right, to make your living, and be happy with kind of the state of things. But I think, the markets can change. We've evolved as well already, and you constantly adapt as a founder. And I think there's also a thing that kind of is playing to our advantage being bootstrapped, because we had many VC-backed competitors that got bought up, they shut down, and well-known names in the industry, and we're still going. We're still going because, first of all, we don't have to grow like crazy. And second of all, we can adapt easily. We don't have 30 people. We need to convince that our mission is now different, our core product is now something else, or we're pivoting slightly in that direction. And with the efficiency in mind, one other thing I'm seeing now, at least, is with these IPOs coming closer of the big companies, is it might not stay so cheap forever. You might have to go into credit-based, like pay as you go, and don't have this all-inclusive subscription anymore. And if you've gotten used to just push out the code and use Claude Opus 4.8 for a simple email rewrite, you'll have to kind of adjust your thinking and how you operate the company. And we've just kind of been thinking about it very consciously from the start in every part. Like, do we really need to do this with the best model? Is this the best prompt to kind of run it? Is this the most efficient way? And I think as prices go up of these other things, I think we might be in a good position to not have that wake-up call. But if in 6 months AI costs going to be 60, 70, 80% higher than they are today for some of the stuff that people are doing. So I don't know. Just a few hypotheses. We're fighting every day. We don't know all the answers. It's exciting, and there's a lot of anxiety as well at the same time.
Well, really appreciate you sharing, giving up your time going through this again with me, but this time, for our community. So thank you so much for that. And I hope that the both of us can, push this, to its limits. Obviously, a real demonstration there from you of what an AI first sort of like business looks like. So yeah, long may it continue. I think, as you said, like very exciting times, and to kind of get from idea to product like straight away, to get all these things automated to show the impact of what you've done with the website and the blogs to website traffic, and have that kind of fully automated. I think these are all fantastic. And as you said, like 6 months ago, like it wouldn't have been possible, right? So how far we've come.
Exactly, exactly. And again, it's probably not doing many things that could still be done better, and maybe we're ahead of some people that are just exploring this. I encourage them to lean in.
Yeah.
I'm also happy to learn if people want to connect on LinkedIn or email, if they have tips, if something that you've seen can be improved. I always want to learn. So yeah, happy to connect with anybody listening who has some more tips and tricks.
Awesome. Well, we're still early. We're still early in the shift, and there's a lot for us to learn. There's a lot more. I imagine 6 months' time, the world is probably going to look even more different, but hopefully in a very good way. But thanks so much, Semir, for coming on the AO Revolution show today.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Cool.